Welcome to the Deep Dive, your quick route to understanding what really matters.
That's right.
You, our listener, are looking to grasp the essentials without getting, bogged down. And that's exactly what we deliver.
And today, we're diving headfirst into the vibrant and ever-shifting world of contemporary English slang.
Ah, slang. Okay.
Yeah, all sparked by the article 100 Popular English Slang Expressions. And our aim isn't just to define these terms,
Right.
but to explore how and why they pop up and how they're used in the real world.
Exactly. Think of this as your backstage pass, sort of, to sounding more natural and understanding those everyday conversations, social media chatter,
All that stuff.
and the lyrics of the songs everyone's listening to.
And the article we're using, it's actually a fantastic roadmap for this. It's organized into categories like everyday phrases, reactions, how we describe people,
Right.
social life, gossip, even slang and pop culture. It gives us a great framework for our exploration today.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Why slang? Like, why does it even exist? It's like this constantly evolving code, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the driving force?
That's a really good question. The article touches on it by calling slang the secret ingredient that makes English feel, quote, real and alive.
Real and alive, I like that.
Yeah, it's this informal, creative energy of language, always adapting, kind of reflecting current trends and social dynamics. Think of it as language in motion, you know?
And it's absolutely everywhere you look or listen. Social media is practically built on it.
Totally.
You can't scroll for long without seeing some new acronym or phrase, not to mention just everyday chats and, well, pretty much any form of modern entertainment.
Precisely. Understanding slang isn't just about knowing definitions, it's really about tapping into a more nuanced understanding of how people actually connect and communicate informally. It can really bridge that gap, between just knowing the words and truly getting the conversation.
So, while it's key to sounding natural, the article also gives a little heads up, right? That it's not always the right tool for the job.
That's a really important point to consider. Slang is very context dependent. Extremely.
Right.
You'd likely want to steer clear of it in, say, a formal essay or during a job interview, as the article wisely points out.
Yeah, definitely saving no cap for your friends, not your potential employer.
Exactly.
But where does slang really shine? Where can you comfortably, throw these terms around?
Well, picture this. You're chilling with your squad, as the article nicely puts it.
Okay.
Online chats, texting your friends, getting lost in the endless scroll of social media, or binging your favorite shows. Those are the playgrounds where slang naturally thrives.
Makes perfect sense.
Uh.
All right, let's get into some actual examples then. What are some of those everyday phrases that are like good to have ready to go?
Yeah, the article kicks off with some real foundational pieces of casual conversation. Take what's up. It's such a common and easygoing way to say, how are you, or what's going on? It's almost like a linguistic handshake in informal setting.
Definitely a go-to. And what about when you're wrapping up a casual encounter? Saying goodbye.
Catch you later is a reliable and friendly way to say goodbye without being too formal. It kind of implies you expect to see them again.
Uh-huh. And if someone's getting a little worked up or stressed out?
You've got a couple of options there. Chill out is pretty direct, telling someone to calm down.
Yeah.
And take a chill pill is a slightly more figurative, maybe sometimes humorous way of suggesting the same thing.
We all have those days where we're just completely zapped of energy. What's the slang for hitting that wall? Feeling tired?
I'm beat. Simple, universally understood way to say you're utterly exhausted. Paints a clear picture.
It does. And when a task turns out to be surprisingly easy, thankfully.
You can confidently say, that was a piece of cake.
It's a classic idiom, isn't it? It resonates because everyone understands that feeling of effortless success. True. Sometimes you just need a quick and casual way to say, it's okay, or no problem.
No worries is fantastic for that. Widely used, casual alternative. It's reassuring and easygoing.
Okay. And lastly, if you need someone to just hold on a moment, wait.
Hang tight. It's your informal way of saying, please wait. Relax doesn't convey any, major urgency.
These are all so essential for just navigating those everyday interactions. Now, let's look at how to react to things with a bit more, pizzazz. The article has a whole section on this.
Exactly. These are the expressions that inject some personality and emotion into your responses. If you want to show excitement, you've got a whole spectrum of choices.
Oh, yeah?
Things like cool beans and ace might sound a little retro to some.
Yeah, maybe a bit dated.
Maybe, but they still signal something positive,
And then we move into the more current vibes, right? Like lit and dope. What makes these catch on, do you think?
Well, lit and dope both convey that something is amazing, exciting, or really good. Lit maybe carries more of a sense of high energy, like something is really buzzing. Dope has been around a bit longer, but still keeps its cool factor. And there's sick, which is interesting.
Because sick usually means bad.
Exactly. In slang, it flips its usual meaning to express something positive, cool, or awesome, often with a bit of admiration. Off the hook also conveys something outstanding or incredible.
I've heard wavy being used too. What's the feeling behind that one? It's like smooth.
Yeah, wavy often suggests something is stylish, cool, or generally has a good vibe, almost like a smooth, flowing feeling. And then there's extra, which is such a fun one.
Oh yeah, extra. That's when someone is just going over the top.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe in a funny or slightly dramatic way.
Exactly. Extra perfectly captures that sense of someone doing more than necessary, often for attention or just because that's their personality. It really resonates in a world where, online personas can sometimes be exaggerated. And who hasn't felt a deep connection with something someone says, that moment where you just think, yes, me too.
Oh yeah.
The perfect slang for that succinct feeling is mood.
Mood. It's so efficient, isn't it? At conveying a shared feeling or experience, especially online. And what about yeet? That one always seems to pop up in funny videos, often involving throwing things.
Yeet is pure, unadulterated exclamation. It's often used to express excitement, triumph, or just a burst of energy, especially when throwing something with force or enthusiasm. Very performative.
Okay, what about agreeing with someone or stating something as fact? There seem to be a few options there with slightly different flavors.
Definitely. You've got Gucci, which can signal that everything is good, cool, or under control. Like Gucci, bet is like saying, okay, I'll do it, or deal, or just acknowledging something. Then we have the more emphatic affirmations.
Right, like really stressing it's true.
Exactly. No cap, which literally means no lie. Hundo P, short for 100% sure. And deadass, which means seriously or for real. What's interesting about these is how they directly address the idea of truthfulness.
Yeah, that's a good point. And finally, in this section, glow up. That sounds really positive.
It absolutely is. A glow up refers to a significant and usually positive transformation. Often it's about appearance, but it can also extend to someone's overall confidence or life situation.
Nice.
It speaks to that idea of self-improvement and positive change.
Okay, now let's dive into how we describe people and relationships using slang. This can feel a bit tricky, maybe, if you're not up to speed.
It can, yeah, but the article provides some really clear starting points. To describe someone you find attractive, you might hear them called a snack.
A snack, okay.
It's a lighthearted and complimentary term.
Yep.
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, that one's fairly self-explanatory. And thick, how's that used?
Thick. THICC is used to describe someone who is curvaceous in a way that's considered attractive. It's important to note, though, that this term has its own cultural context and isn't always appropriate in all settings.
Good point. Context is key.
Always. Then we have ways to describe someone who's really doing well or looking fantastic. Slay means to absolutely nail something to look incredible or perform exceptionally.
Like she slayed that presentation.
Exactly. And snatched describes someone who is perfectly put together, often referring to their appearance like their waist is very defined or their makeup is flawless.
Okay, now we're venturing into relationship territory.
Yeah.
Bae is a classic. Almost feels like it's been around forever now. But where'd that even come from? The article mentions it, right?
Yes, it does. The article points out that bae is believed to be either a shortened version of baby or maybe an acronym for before anyone else. Used as a term of endearment for a romantic partner. Then, for those in the world of fandom, we have OTP and ship.
Right, for the fans.
OTP stands for one true pairing, your absolute favorite fictional couple. And to ship someone means you support or really wish for two people, maybe fictional, maybe real, to get together romantically.
It's fascinating how these terms build that sense of community within fandoms.
It really is. Now, what about when someone's really trying hard to get attention, maybe a little too hard? That's where thirsty comes in. It describes someone who is overtly eager for attention or validation, often in a romantic or sexual way.
Okay.
And a thirst trap is usually a social media post, like a photo, specifically designed to elicit that kind of attention.
Got it. On the other hand, if someone you're talking to just vanishes, stops replying.
They've ghosted you. That one seems to have become a pretty widespread term for that abrupt disappearance. So frustrating.
It is. And finally in this section, stan. I see that everywhere online, often used ironically, sometimes seriously.
Stan refers to a very enthusiastic, maybe sometimes overly zealous, fan of someone or something. And interestingly, as the article notes, it actually originated from an Eminem song about an obsessive fan named Stan,
Wow, really?
showing how pop culture can directly influence our language like that.
That's a great example.
Oh.
Okay, let's move on to talking about friends and social lives, because so much of slang seems to revolve around our interactions with others, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Your squad, that's simply your close-knit group of friends, your inner circle. Exactly. If you're having a good time together, you might be vibing, just feeling a positive connection, enjoying the moment.
Vibing.
And what are you likely doing with your squad? Probably chillin', which just means relaxing or hanging out casually.
I can definitely relate to the concept of being hangry.
Yeah.
That delightful mix of hungry and angry or irritable.
Oh yeah, dangerous combination. And what about when you're really focused and determined to achieve something? Working hard.
Yeah.
That's the grind. The hard work and effort you put into pursuing your goals, like back to the grind.
Right. And when you achieve something great and want to subtly, or maybe not so subtly, show it off.
You might flex or be flexing. That means displaying your achievements, possessions, or skills, often in a boastful but sometimes playful way.
And having swag. What does that imply?
Swag implies a certain confident and stylish manner, an aura of cool, really.
Okay. And if your appearance is absolutely perfect, especially maybe your eyebrows, makeup, or outfit.
You might hear it described as on fleek, like your eyebrows are on fleek.
On fleek. Got it. And speaking of outfits, your fit is simply
Your outfit, what you're wearing in that particular ensemble. Like, check out my fit.
simple enough. Let's talk money for a second. What's the current slang for money?
Guap is a common and casual slang term for money.
Guac. Okay. And when something turns out to be absolutely essential or comes through at just the right moment, saves the day.
It's clutch. Like, that last-minute goal was clutch. It's that thing that saves the day.
And finally, in the realm of modern anxieties, we have FOMO.
Ah, yes. The fear of missing out. That feeling of unease you get when you see or hear about others having fun experiences that you're not part of.
So relatable.
It really speaks to the connected, maybe over-connected nature of our lives today.
Now we're getting to the really juicy part. Spilling the tea, which is all about gossip and drama. Feels like slang really thrives here.
Oh, it absolutely does. Tea itself is the slang term for gossip or inside information, like what's the tea?
Okay, so tea is the gossip. And if you're subtly criticizing someone,
You might throw shade or just give them shade. That implies a sly or indirect insult or an expression of disapproval.
right. What about when someone delivers a really sharp comment, maybe even mean, but also kind of funny or brutally honest?
That's savage. It describes a comment or action that is brutally honest or cutting, but often elicits a reaction of, like, surprised amusement.
Yeah, like, ooh, savage.
Exactly. On the other hand, if someone is holding on to a grudge or feeling bitter about something, they might be described as salty.
Salty. Okay. I hear the term basic thrown around quite a bit. What does that generally signify? Is it always negative?
Basic usually describes something considered mainstream, unoriginal, or lacking in individuality. It often carries a slightly negative connotation. Yeah, implying a lack of sophistication or uniqueness.
And someone who is described as woke.
That generally means someone is considered socially aware and informed about important social and political issues.
Okay. And on the less flattering end of the spectrum, we have ratchet. What does that imply?
Ratchet is generally used to describe something, or sometimes someone, considered messy, uncouth, or sort of low class. It can be quite derogatory.
Right. And if something seems a little suspicious or not quite right,
You might say it's sus, which is just short for suspicious.
sus. We touched on ghosting earlier in relationships, but it definitely fits here too, right? Just being ignored more broadly.
Exactly. It's a sadly common experience in modern communication, regardless of the type of relationship. Getting ghosted.
Yeah. And finally, for a nostalgic throwback on social media, we have TBT.
Throwback Thursday, a reliable hashtag and excuse to share those old memories, usually photos.
Always fun.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears and look at how slang permeates the world of pop culture. It feels like these things spread like wildfire now.
Oh, incredibly fast. Through music, viral internet trends, popular content, GOT is a perfect example. Greatest of all time.
Right.
Used across sports, music, lots of feels to denote ultimate excellence.
We discussed Stan earlier, but the article makes that specific connection to pop culture again.
Yes, as we mentioned, it originated from the Eminem song Stan, about that obsessive fan. It perfectly illustrates how a piece of pop culture can coin a term that just enters everyday language.
Okay, and if someone is extremely drunk or maybe just exhausted,
They might be described as wrecked.
wrecked, okay, to peep something.
Means to take a look or check it out, like peek this new song or peek my new shoes.
And we have whip as slang for a car. That one's been around a while.
It has, yeah. Still common, though.
And fit makes another appearance here. Why do some terms seem to cross over different categories like this, like fit or glow up?
It just highlights how versatile and adaptable slang can be, really. Fit, for example, is just a simple way to refer to an outfit. So it's relevant in everyday chat, fashion talk, pop culture commentary.
Makes sense.
Similarly, a glow up, that significant transformation we talked about, is a super common theme in reality TV, social media makeovers, and other pop culture content.
Right. And yet, pops up again, often linked to those viral videos, right? People throwing things with a lot of energy and shouting it.
Precisely. The article also points out how sus gained huge popularity from the video game Among Us.
Ah, the game.
Yeah, where identifying the sus player is central. It shows how gaming culture is also a massive contributor to slang. And finally, that feeling of good vibes and connection, vibing, is also frequently referenced in music and online culture.
This is a lot of information to absorb seriously. For you, the learner out there, what are some practical ways to actually start incorporating this into your vocabulary without sounding, completely out of touch or awkward?
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? The article offers some really helpful advice. Immersing yourself, like watching shows aimed at younger audiences or reality TV, can give you a great ear for how contemporary slang is used naturally.
That makes sense, seeing it in context rather than just a list. What else can our listener do?
Following native English speakers on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, is another excellent way to stay updated on current trends. You see it used in real time.
Okay.
And then the key is practice. Start experimenting with using slang in low-pressure situations, like texting with friends or in casual online chats where it doesn't matter as much if you get it slightly wrong.
So don't be afraid to try things out a little. Take a small risk.
Absolutely. Repeat slang terms you hear, play around with them. As the article suggests, try incorporating phrases like, that fit is fire,
Well,
or no cap, that was savage,
okay.
into your casual conversations just to get a feel for how they sound and when they fit best.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the how-to. Now let's circle back to that really important point about using slang judiciously. Context really is everything, isn't it?
It's absolutely crucial. The article clearly outlines those situations where slang is your friend and those where it's wiser to stick to more standard English.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, you're on safer ground using slang when interacting with friends, in online communication, and when engaging with informal video content, things like that.
But it's probably best to avoid it in more formal or professional settings,
Yeah.
like work emails or presentations.
Exactly. You generally want to steer clear of slang when writing academic papers, composing formal emails, or, as we said, participating in job interviews. Understanding your audience and the specific context is just paramount for effective communication.
So the key takeaway here seems to be that English slang adds this really rich layer of personality and connection to the language.
Definitely.
It's a way to bond with others, understand the cultural landscape,
Yeah.
especially in pop culture.
Precisely. And it's a constantly evolving phenomenon. That's the other key thing. New slang emerges, older terms fade out, sometimes really fast.
Yeah.
So staying curious and continuing to listen and learn is all part of the process. You can't just learn it once.
This has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the world of slang. It really does feel like a constantly updating secret language sometimes.
It kind of is.
So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to consider. How does this rapid and continuous evolution of slang reflect broader cultural shifts and ongoing trends in how we communicate with each other?
Good question.
And what might the lifespan of a particular slang term, how quickly it appears and maybe disappears, tell us about its underlying cultural significance? Something to chew on. Until our next deep dive, keep exploring the ever-changing world around you.